Okay, it's the weekly breakdown for week 3 in the PSL. I'm going to do it in a video this week instead of writing it up in the league news channel. It's really fucking hot in Australia right now. Like, I'm sweating like a blind lesbian at a fish market. It's really hot, so I'm just going to try to get this over with as quickly as I can. So start with the standings. Scarlet Division's kind of insane. Like, we have some top tier teams ranked that are like, they're missing playoffs right now. And then there are some teams that are up here at 3 and 4 that are ranked quite low. Chicago, I've got them in the wrong spot. Their differential is wrong. It's impossible for them to be 7. I have to fix that. I must have just hit the wrong button when I was putting their differential in. They might actually be -7. I'll have to have a look. I'll go back and fix that up. So just ignore that for now. It's either they're still in the top or Minnesota's in an 8th. But there's some interesting things to look at the standings. So this team here, San Francisco 49ers, 0-3. The thing about this team is they have kind of skyrocketed. I mean, not skyrocketed, but it makes 2 teams look very impressive, and that was the Beedrills and the Pickers, because they kind of, the win that skyrocketed Pickers up in the rankings, and I kind of dubbed him as an elite coach. But the fact that San Francisco 49ers are 0-3 kind of makes that win look less impressive. But the reason I'm going to talk about this team, because they play Houston and they play Arizona. There are 2 big games, tough teams. And if you remember when I did the opening power rankings, I said Arizona's a really good team. It's really scary. But the reason I'm ranking it where I did, which was like pretty low, to where I initially thought it would be, was because I think the good team's going to take advantage of the fact that it has a lot of weaknesses, but it's so overwhelmingly strong offensively that I think it's just going to dominate teams that aren't in the top tier. But I think it's going to have a hard time winning the championship. If San Francisco comes out and beats that team, and they come out and beat Houston next week, then that makes Green Bay and the Beedrills look really, really fucking good. It makes them look really good. But if they lose both those games, maybe it makes the Green Bay win and the Beedrills win against the San Francisco team not look as impressive. So that's like an interesting thing. Like, this team, they can still make playoffs because of like how the division's kind of working out. Their next 2 weeks for this team is going to tell us a lot about their team, their opponent's team, and their past opponents. It's going to be like very telling for like a lot of different things. Seattle and Commanders, 2 teams ranked very highly that are outside of the playoffs thing right now. Seattle has a tough week against Tampa Bay, and then they finished against Commanders. So if both these teams win next week, it'll be a big win for Seattle. Then they have to fight week 2, so that could be game of the week. That could be winner in, loser out of playoffs. So it's going to be a huge week. Tampa Bay next week against Seattle. If you look at the power rankings this week, I said I need this team to kind of step up again and just dominate a really high ranked team for me to put them in the top tier, because Detroit kind of put them on the ropes a little bit, which was like pretty good for Detroit. I think that was more Detroit kind of doing really good than them doing bad. But this would tell me if Tampa Bay is like a really good team. And then Seattle again, I did say that they have struggled against the top teams, so it's going to be a lot on that game. I think it's going to be the game of the week for week 4 will be Seattle versus Tampa Bay, game of the week coming up. And then the playoff race for Scarlet is kind of wild. Like, right now you have Buffalo, who's like in there, and then you have 3 really good teams like just below them missing out, and then you have New England, who just got a new coach, who have to change here. They still have to play their week 2 and their week 3 game. So if they win both of those, then they're looking really strong. They have to change that. Oh no, I don't. So they got the week 3 and 4. Yeah. So if they win the next 2 games, they can be 3 and 1. Then all of a sudden they're gonna make a big push for playoffs. The Colts at 15 is kind of surprising that it's turned out like this. But I have to look at their schedule again, and see who they've played. Because I feel like if they've had a really tough schedule, then let's see, they played Buffalo. Okay, they lost that one. Then they played Atlanta, who's like really, really strong, and then Detroit. So yeah, overall, I would say they were favorited, I would say, going into all their games. Maybe the Atlanta one was kind of like 50-50 because Queen was kind of popping off to start the first 2 weeks, but this was the ranked 3 team going into the season. And then Atlanta came out on top. So this is the team where I think is way better than what they're ranked in the standings. But even saying that, it's going to be a tough go at like making playoffs. They're like 1 and 2 -5, which is rough. That's rough. So they're going to have to win out and then win big to kind of make a play, because this is going to come down to differential. This is just going to come down to having a positive win record. Like if you're 3 and 2, you're going to make playoffs here. And then if you're 2 and 3, it's going to come down to differential. You can be 3 and 2 in this division, the way it's going right now, and still miss playoffs. So differential is like super important. You have to win big and lose small if you do. So that's interesting. Kill leader. So Pokemon of the week, I'm going to give it to Mew. Diancie popped off, got 5 kills again, is on its way to being the best Pokemon in PSL history. When it comes to like a season record, the current best season ever goes to Suin Arcanine in season 1. It was 14 and 1. Diancie is looking like it might smash that record. It needs 3 kills, 0 deaths in the next 2 weeks to take that crown, which is very possible. Poltergeist as well. Poltergeist is going off. This is the fight for the MVP. It's also the fight for the low tier Pokemon of the year. Yeah, like the top 5 are just all low tier stuff. Everything's low tier except for Torn and Manaphy, and then you got some high tier stuff that's like just missing out. 11 to 14. But I'm gonna go Pokemon of the week's gonna go to Mew. The thing that separated was, I think the coach kind of made, I'm not gonna call them misplays. He played very risky when he was setting up those Cosmic Powers to beat Seattle, I believe. She was just begging to be crit, and then Mew kind of stepped up and said, fuck no, we're not getting crit. So that is why Mew is the player of the week, and that's what separates it from Diancie. It was kind of put in a spot where he was just begging the opponent to crit him, but Mew said no, and that's why I think Mew gets the Pokemon of the week. Diancie, very close runner-up. Tauros was very cool as well. Tauros did well. A few other Pokemon did pop up. I think Italian did pretty well this week, but I'm going to go Mew for Pokemon of the week. Matchup of the week for week 4 is going to be Seattle and Tampa Bay. That's going to be the game of the week for week 4. This one here is, it might not be the game of the week, but it is very important. It will tell us a lot about both teams and a lot of other teams as well. It's going to tell us about Green Bay. It's going to tell us about Beedrills. It might even tell us about Miami. If Houston get spanked, then maybe the Miami win over Houston wasn't as impressive as it seems to be. Maybe they're not the ranked 1 team. But who knows? That just makes Green Bay look really good. If San Francisco wins that game, pretty interesting. And then Jolteons and Wild Chargers is pretty interesting as well. That's going to be a good game. So that was like the week 4 breakdown. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know if you like it better than the just writing my little paragraph or whatever in the league news thing. I'm still going to post the game breakdowns from the from Ladner and Zone, who wrote their thing up. But let me know what you think about this one, and I'll see you next week.